You know, in our world today, it just feels like we're constantly fighting something, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like an invisible tide pulling you away.
Exactly. The pings, the alerts, all those browser
The
tabs.
endless scroll.
Yeah. It feels almost impossible sometimes to actually sit down and, focus, to get real, meaningful work done. How do we even start to cut through that noise?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
It really is. And it's right at the heart of our deep dive today. We're tackling Cal Newport's really influential book, Deep Work: Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World.
Right. And our goal here really is to unpack it for you,
Hmm.
to get into the core ideas, the practical rules he lays out, and why this stuff actually lasts.
Hmm.
We want to help you understand why Newport says this ability to focus without distraction is, and I'm quoting here, both rare and incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
And more importantly, how you can actually start cultivating it, how you can use it for, well, extraordinary success and satisfaction, as he puts it.
And just so you know, we've really dug into this book. We've gone through it carefully to distill the absolute essence.
Yeah, the key takeaways.
Exactly. So you get the most impactful bits without needing to read, what is it, like 300 pages?
Around that, yeah. It's comprehensive.
Okay, so let's dive in. The Blueprint, Cal Newport, the author. The book came out in 2016, right?
That's right, 2016.
And it fits into that productivity, self-help, personal development kind of space.
Definitely.
So what's his big idea, the core argument?
Well, Newport's central point, and it sounds simple at first, but it's got layers, is that the ability to really focus, like intensely focus, without distraction
Mm-hmm.
on tasks that really demand your brain power, your cognitive effort.
Yeah.
That's not just like a nice skill to have anymore.
Right.
He argues it's absolutely crucial, foundational, really, for thriving today.
Okay, crucial. So he must define what he means by that kind of focus, that deep work.
He does, very precisely. And this definition is key. He calls deep work professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit.
Wow. Okay. Push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. That's intense.
It is. And think about the characteristics he highlights. This kind of work creates new value. It improves your skills significantly. And crucially, it's hard for other people to just replicate.
So it's a unique, high-quality output, not just ticking boxes.
Exactly. It's the stuff that really moves the needle.
That definition definitely sets a high standard for deep work. But, I mean, let's be real. Our days are often filled with other stuff, right? Quick emails, checking things off a list, meetings.
Sure, the busy work.
Yeah, the busy work. Does Newport have a name for that kind of activity?
He absolutely does. And it's the perfect contrast. He calls it shallow work.
Shally work. Okay.
And his definition is spot on. Non-cognitively demanding, logistical-style tasks, often performed while distracted.
Ooh, that
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Doesn't it? I think for most of us, a huge chunk of our day, maybe even the majority sometimes, falls into that bucket.
Yeah.
And unlike deep work, this shallow stuff,
Mm.
easy to replicate, usually low value, doesn't require intense brain power, and it rarely, if ever, leads to any kind of breakthrough.
It just keeps us feeling busy.
Precisely. Busy, but not necessarily effective or productive in a meaningful way.
That's such a clear distinction, deep versus shallow. So maybe a good moment for everyone listening to pause and think, like, honestly, in your typical workday, how much time are you really spending in deep work?
And how much is just shallow?
Yeah, it's often a bit less deep than we'd probably like to admit, right?
It can be a sobering reflection. And that realization leads us right into the first part of Newport's book. He spends a good chunk of time establishing why this deep work thing matters so much.
Okay, so laying the foundation. Why is it so important?
Well, first, he argues that deep work is incredibly valuable, especially now in what people call the knowledge economy.
Right.
The people who can really focus, learn complex things quickly, and then produce high-quality, innovative results, they're the ones who become indispensable, the most valuable.
He gives examples, doesn't he?
He does. He points to figures like Carl Jung, the psychologist, who famously built himself a stone tower retreat.
Just to get away and think.
Exactly, to guarantee that uninterrupted focus. Or Bill Gates, with his legendary Think Weeks.
Right, where he just disappear with a stack of books.
Totally disconnected, just reading, thinking, strategizing, deep work, and even more modern examples like the statistician Nate Silver. Their success relies, fundamentally, on intense, focused concentration.
It's really striking how these, top performers intentionally created environments for deep work, built it into their lives.
Yeah, they engineered it.
But that kind of brings us to a contradiction today, because you also said deep work is rare.
Dan,
If it's so valuable, why is it so hard to come by now?
that's the paradox Newport explores, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why is this superpower so scarce?
Mm.
And he points to some very clear culprits, things that are just everywhere in our modern lives.
Like what?
Well, think about it. Social media, obviously. The constant poll, the notifications, open office plans. Great for collaboration sometimes, maybe, but terrible for sustained individual focus.
Oh, definitely. Constant interruptions.
Right? And then there's instant messaging pings, the expectation of immediate response, and of course the never-ending email deluge. That culture of always being on.
Yeah, I think anyone listening can probably feel the truth in that. Our default environment often seems designed against deep focus.
It actively undermines it in many ways.
Okay, so it's valuable, it's rare.
Yeah.
What else?
There's a third key point in this first section. Deep work is also profoundly meaningful.
Meaningful? How so? Beyond just productivity.
Yes, exactly. It's not just about output. Newport argues that engaging in deep work, pushing your skills, mastering complex challenges, it actually brings a deep sense of purpose and satisfaction.
Like Mahali's concept of flow.
Very much related, yes. That state of being fully immersed, losing track of time. There's a genuine fulfillment, a kind of craftsmanship pride in producing something truly excellent through focused effort.
So it's not just good for your career, it's good for your soul, almost.
You could put it that way.
Yeah.
It contributes to a richer, more satisfying professional life.
Okay, so we've established the why. Deep work is valuable, it's rare, it's meaningful, it's basically a superpower. But knowing that isn't enough, right? The big question for most people listening is probably, okay, great, but how do I actually do it?
Exactly. And that's where the second, arguably more practical part of the book comes in. The how-to.
Right, the actionable stuff. What does Newport give us?
He lays out 4 specific rules, 4 clear guidelines for developing deep work habits.
Okay, rule number 1.
Rule number 1 is work deeply.
Work deeply. Sounds straightforward, but I guess there's more to it.
Oh yeah, it's not just try harder to focus. It's about intentionally designing your work life to enable deep work, building rituals and routines.
Like habits for focus.
Exactly. Think of it like building a mental fortress against distraction. You need deliberate practices. This means things like actively removing distractions, phone off, notifications silenced, closing unnecessary tabs, scheduling specific blocks of time only for deep work. He calls this time blocking, and it's a cornerstone.
So literally putting depth work session in your calendar.
Yes, protecting that time. He also suggests using tools like countdown timers to create focused sprints, and even setting up location-based rules.
Like, I only do deep work in the library or in this specific chair.
Precisely. Creating environmental triggers that tell your brain, okay, it's focus time now. It's about making deep work the default during those scheduled periods, not the exception.
Okay, build the fortress, schedule the time. Got it. What's rule 2?
Rule 2 might sound a bit weird at first. Embrace boredom.
Embrace boredom. That sounds counterintuitive. Don't we want to avoid being bored?
Well, yes and no. What Newport means is resist the constant urge to fill every idle moment with stimulation.
Like grabbing your phone the second you have downtime, or waiting in line.
Exactly. Or clicking over to check email or news the moment you hit a slight mental block. He argues that constantly seeking novelty and distraction actually weakens your attention muscle.
So by not immediately reaching for the phone, you're strengthening your focus.
You're training your brain to tolerate the absence of constant input, to be okay with quiet, with just thinking, or even with, yes, a little boredom. It builds your mental endurance against distraction. So when you need to focus for a long stretch, your brain isn't constantly craving a hit of novelty.
That's actually really interesting and probably quite difficult for most of us, myself included, resisting that quick dopamine hit.
It's a modern challenge for sure.
Okay, rule 3.
Rule 3 is probably the most controversial for some. Quit social media.
Whoa, okay. Quit it entirely. That sounds drastic.
It can sound that way, but Newport frames it using what he calls the craftsman approach to tool selection.
Craftsman approach. What's that?
Basically, like a skilled craftsman carefully chooses only the best tools for their specific job. You should critically evaluate the tools in your life, including social media platforms.
So don't just use it because everyone else is.
Exactly. Ask yourself, does this specific tool offer a substantial, clear benefit towards my most important professional goals and my deep work? Is the value it provides significantly outweighing the potential downsides, like distraction and context switching?
So it's not necessarily anti-social media, but anti-mindless use of it.
Precisely. It's about intentionality. Test it. Does this platform genuinely help you achieve something important, or is it mostly a drain on your time and attention? If it doesn't pass that high bar, Newport argues, get rid of it. Be ruthless in curating your digital tools.
Be intentional. Okay, that makes sense. And rule 4?
Rule 4 is drain the shallows.
Drain the shallow. So getting rid of that shallow work we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Actively minimize it. Because shallow tasks, while sometimes necessary, can easily expand to fill your entire day if you let them.
Tell me about it. Emails, meetings.
Right, so Newport offers strategies here. One is scheduling every minute of your day. Not rigidly, but having a plan for where your time should go, ensuring deep work gets prime slots.
Wow, every minute.
It sounds intense, but the idea is to be proactive about time allocation. Another strategy is batching shallow work.
Like doing all your emails at 1 or 2 specific times a day instead of constantly checking.
Exactly. Contain the shallow tasks so they don't constantly interrupt your deeper thinking. And perhaps the most critical part of draining the shallows.
Let me guess. Saying no.
You got it. Learning the power of saying no to requests, meetings, or tasks that don't align with your deep work goals or that offer very little value compared to the focus they demand.
That feels like a personal attack on my inbox sometimes. But seriously, saying no politely but firmly, that's probably the hardest skill for many people to develop, isn't it?
It truly is. We're often conditioned to be agreeable, to be available. But Newport's point is powerful. Every time you say yes to a low-value, shallow task, you're implicitly saying no to potential deep work.
It forces a kind of radical prioritization.
It really does.
Yeah.
And what's crucial to understand is that these 4 rules work deeply. Embrace boredom, quit social media, drain the shallows. They aren't just separate tips.
They work together.
Absolutely. They're interconnected. They reinforce each other. Think of it like training a muscle. Consistently applying these rules strengthens your brain's ability to concentrate deeply.
Yeah.
It builds resistance to distraction over time. It's not an overnight fix. It's a training regimen for your attention.
A training regimen. I like that framing. So pulling this all together, what are the main takeaways? If someone only remembers a few things from this deep dive, what should they be?
Okay, key lessons. 1. Focus, real focus, is a genuine superpower in today's world. Hugely valuable.
Wait, superpower number 1.
2. You can't just wish for focus, you have to train for it. Your brain is like a muscle in this regard. These rules are the workout plan.
Train the brain.
Got it. 3. Be honest about shallow work. Most of us spend way too much time on low-value stuff that feels productive because it keeps us busy.
But it isn't actually moving the needle.
Exactly. And finally, number 4. Real success and satisfaction often come from the quality of focused work, not just the quantity of hours logged or tasks completed. It's about depth, not just duration or volume.
Quality over quantity, depth over busyness. Makes sense. So, looking at the book overall, what are its biggest strengths? Why has it resonated so much?
Well, I think its strengths are pretty clear. It offers that very clear, actionable framework with the 4 rules. It's not just abstract theory. It gives you things to do.
Practical.
Very practical. It's also well supported by research and these compelling real-world examples, which makes the arguments convincing.
Right, the Jung and Gates examples.
Exactly. And its core message, the need to fight back against distraction, is just incredibly relevant today, maybe more relevant now than when it was written in 2016.
That's probably true.
And finally, the principles feel timeless. This isn't about a specific app or tech trend. It's about the fundamental human ability to concentrate. That advice won't go out of date.
Okay, those are strong points. But no book is perfect. What are some of the common criticisms? Where does the approach maybe fall short?
That's important to touch on, definitely. While it's transformative for many, some people find the tone a bit idealistic.
Idealistic, like not realistic for everyone's job.
Yeah, kind of ignoring some real-world constraints. Things like jobs that require heavy team collaboration, or if you're a manager with constant demands on your time, or if your role inherently involves dealing with frequent, unpredictable interruptions.
Right. Not everyone can just build a stone tower or take a think week.
Exactly. So a common criticism is that it's not for all professions. If you're in certain creative fields or client-facing roles or service jobs where constant interaction is the job.
Then walling yourself off for hours might be impractical or even impossible.
Right. You might need to adapt the principles significantly. Another, perhaps smaller, criticism is that some find it a bit repetitive. Newport does drive his main points home multiple times.
Maybe for emphasis, but it could feel like padding to some readers.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, so bearing those criticisms in mind, who is this book really perfect for? Who should definitely pick it up?
Well, it's almost tailor-made for writers, coders, researchers, academics, scientists, anyone whose core work involves deep, focused thought and creation.
Knowledge workers, basically.
Yes, knowledge workers. Also, entrepreneurs, creative professionals who need blocks of uninterrupted time, students trying to study effectively, and honestly, anyone who just feels overwhelmed and burnt out by the constant digital noise and wants to reclaim some focus.
So quite a broad audience, actually.
A very broad audience within that knowledge work sphere, yeah.
But who is it maybe not ideal for? Besides those roles with constant interruptions we mentioned.
Well, yeah, primarily those whose jobs genuinely demand constant multitasking or fielding external inputs. Also, and this is important, it's not for people looking for quick fixes or productivity hacks.
Right. It's not 5 easy tips to focuses.
Definitely not. It's about a fundamental shift in mindset and habits. It requires commitment and long-term effort. If you're not willing to rethink your relationship with distraction and do the work, it probably won't stick.
Commitment is key. Okay, so time for the final verdict. Where do we land on Cal Newport's deep work?
Based on its impact, its practicality, and its relevance.
We're giving it a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's really a standout book in the productivity space. A must-read for many.
Agreed. Deep Work is, without a doubt, a modern productivity classic. Its core message is about reclaiming your attention in this incredibly noisy world we live in. If you're serious about doing high-quality, meaningful work, the kind that truly makes a difference and gives you a competitive edge, this book provides a really powerful blueprint.
And it's not about just working more hours.
No, not at all. It's about working deeper, more effectively, more intentionally within the hours you have.
Yeah, what really strikes me after diving back into this is how Newport flips that script. We often equate productivity with just being busy, right? Checking off tasks, juggling things.
The cult of busyness.
Exactly. But he argues true productivity, and maybe even satisfaction, comes from that intentional, focused, deep effort. Quality, not just quantity.
It's a powerful shift in perspective.
So as we wrap up, maybe a final thought for everyone listening, thinking about your own work, your own distractions.
If you had to pick just one of Newport's 4 rules, work deeply, embrace boredom, quit social media, or drain the shallows, just one to really focus on implementing this week. Which one do you think would make the biggest difference for you? Which one would most impact your ability to actually dive deep?
That's a great question to ponder. Take a moment, really think about it. Which distraction could you start to tame, or which focusing ritual could you introduce, even in a small way, starting this week? How could you begin to reclaim just a little bit more of your focus?